Hello everybody, my name is Natalia Lee and I'm the author of the young adult novels Highborn and Way of Spears, and today I'm going to be talking about the one thing all of us writers love to hate, and that is writer's block. So I have 11 tips for you today. These are the 11 things that I do when I am feeling kind of stuck in a rut, like I have writer's block, like I can't move forward. So I'm going to share those 11 tips with you and hope that they can help you out. Let's get started. Okay, tip number 1 is to set and stick to a writing routine. This is something that's really important for me. That's why I have a couple of videos up on my channel right now that are my winter writing routine, and then I believe I have a summer writing routine, or it might be a spring writing routine. And the reason that I was able to share those with you is because I set and stick to a routine. It's typically writing in the morning right after I wake up. I will wake up, have my coffee, kind of check up on social media, and then dive right into my manuscript. That's the routine that works for me. I am a morning person. I am most creative in the morning time before I go and I do my other errands and work of the day. So that's what I always try to do, but find something that works for you. I know a lot of writers that don't write in the mornings at all. They much prefer to write at nighttime. I definitely can't write at night because by the time night rolls around, my mind is exhausted and I cannot be creative. So I am a morning writer. You might be an evening writer. Just figure that out, set a routine for yourself, and stick to it. My second tip, the second thing that I do if I'm feeling kind of stuck in a rut or like I can't move forward, is to set goals, set writing goals or editing goals or outlining goals, whatever it is I'm working on. I set goals and a deadline for myself. I work extremely well under pressure. I tend to set deadlines and goals for myself that are a bit hard to reach because I like to push myself to try to achieve things in short amounts of time. It just works for me. So if you are not setting goals, let's say you're like, okay, I want to write a novel in 2018. And now you're looking at your novel and you have 10 pages or you have 0 pages and it's already the end of May. Ask yourself, when do I actually want this novel to be done? Maybe you want to have it done by, I don't know, November 1st. Or you want to have it finished by December 1st so that you can work on it during NaNoWriMo. Set an actual day for yourself. Circle it on your calendar, put it in your bullet journal like I do, and make sure that when that deadline is drawing near, you are aware of it and you're working really hard to make sure that you achieve those goals in the set amount of time. That definitely works for me. Recently, I remember setting a goal for myself to I wanted to finish the 3rd draft of Song of the Dryad by April 1st, and I ended up finishing that way early. So that's just an example of how setting a goal and a deadline works really well for me. And if you haven't tried it, I highly recommend it. My third tip, the third thing that works for me, is to sit down or stand, if you have a standing desk like I do, and write 100 words. You have enough time to write 100 words. They don't even have to be good words. They don't have to be polished words. Set a 10-minute timer or a 15-minute timer and write 100 words. That might not seem like a lot, but that is 3,000 words a month, approximately, depending on what month it is. And tell me right now, tell yourself, how many words are you writing a month right now? If you're writing 0 words a month, or maybe 1,500 words a month, think about writing 100 words a day. That's all it takes. That is literally all it takes to start getting you into the habit of writing, the routine of writing, and the mindset of writing. So put on a 10-minute timer or a 15-minute timer and go write your 100 words because you can do it. All of us can write 100 words in a day. So go. Okay, I'm sorry. You don't have to go right now. You can stay here, finish the video, and then go and write your 100 words, okay? Alright, tip number 4 is to reward yourself for hard work. This is something that I do. This is something that I remember so clearly, getting me through Way of Spears. When I was writing that novel, I would always use a reward system. And I think back then my reward was cookies. So I would bake a bunch of cookies and then for every set amount of words I would write, I allowed myself to have a cookie. And yours doesn't have to be cookies. It can be maybe a Netflix show. I'm getting into 13 Reasons Why season 2 right now, and I'm not writing or actively working on something right now, but if I was, then maybe I would say, okay, I have to write 500 words or I have to write 1,000 words, and then after I write that, I can watch one episode of 13 Reasons Why. And then I have to go back and write another 500 or another 1,000 words, and then I can watch another episode of 13 Reasons Why. So that really works for me. Like, again, that comes with kind of setting goals for myself and then rewarding myself for achieving those goals. Like, I know how easy it is to come home to, make myself a humongous, giant, overflowing bowl of pasta and then to sit in front of the TV and just binge watch a Netflix show. But if you get in the habit of doing that all the time, you're not going to finish your novel and you're just going to keep feeling down on yourself. You're going to be stuck in this writing slump. You're going to be stuck and blocked by writer's block, and you do not want that. So break that habit, break that routine, start rewarding yourself for hard work, and start writing 100 words a day. See how all of this is twining together? You can use all of these little tips to get you out of a slump. That's what I do. Hopefully it works for you. All right, tip number 5. This is one that I used so much in Song of the Dryad. I've actually talked about this, and that is going back to the point where you last felt excited about the novel, and then from that point forward where you stopped feeling excited, I want you to copy and paste all of those words into a different document, save them separately so you still have them, but then cut them completely from your manuscript. I cut 49,000 words from Song of the Dryad after NaNoWriMo, and I pretty much had to start fresh, but it was because I was going the wrong direction, I was stuck, and I was not at all excited to write that novel. You can go back and watch my first Tea Time video in which I talked about that, and I talked about potentially abandoning Song of the Dryad, which didn't even have a name back then, and it was all because I was going in the wrong direction and I was feeling really frustrated by my novel, but then I cut 49,000 words, I started fresh, and look at where this novel is today. So usually for me, if I'm feeling really stuck, it's because I'm bored out of my mind with what I'm writing. And if I'm bored with what I'm writing, the reader is going to be bored with the writing as well. So go back to the point where you were last excited, cut everything else from that point forward out of the novel, and start fresh at that point where you are still feeling excited about your manuscript, and see if your characters potentially take you in a new direction. All right, tip number 6 kind of goes along with the last one, and that is to outline. I am not a pantser, so I don't really know how you pantsers do it, because if I didn't outline, I would never put a word on the page, because I would be so nervous about not going in the right direction, or not fulfilling the character arcs, or not fulfilling, the motivations of my characters, that I would not be able to move forward. I have to outline, and it helps me so much. So if you are somebody that's really stuck and you are a pantser, try outlining. You don't have to outline everything like I do. You don't have to go chapter by chapter, scene by scene, everything written out. You don't need to do that, but maybe just look at a 3-act structure and see where you want to take the novel. Or look at your main character and plan out their character arc. What do they need to achieve? What do they need to overcome? What is holding them back? What is their end goal? You need to really look at all that and figure out what journey is your character really taking. And I feel like if you're able to plot anything out, if you're able to outline anything, that could really help you, because for me, it's really hard to figure out where my characters are going to go next if I don't know what they're trying to achieve or why they need to go somewhere. If I don't know the conflict that they're going to face, then how do I get them up to that conflict? So even if you are not an outliner and you are 100% a pantser, I respect you and your pantsing ways, but try a very simple, very minimalistic outline and see what it can do for you. All right, tip number 7 is to listen to music or consume some sort of media that is inspiring to you. For me, that is absolutely music. Video games can be inspiring to me as well. Recently I've been playing Dragon Age Inquisition, and I absolutely love that game. And that gives me a lot of fantasy, high fantasy-esque vibes for a novel that I would like to write in the future, but I'm not working on now. So that works for me, but music 100% is my go-to when I need inspiration. I like to find songs that represent scenes in my novel, that represent characters, that represent conflict. And when I listen to those songs, it's like the scene plays out in my mind, and then I get super excited to write it. And it kind of motivates and inspires me to get back to my work. And also, I'm somebody that writes in a linear fashion. I don't jump around and write different scenes. So let's say I'm like listening to a song that really is getting me inspired to write a scene in Act 3, but I'm currently in Act 2. That means that I have to keep working really hard to get through the dreaded middle and get through Act 2 in order to write that really exciting scene in Act 3. So listening to music really, really helps me, and if it helps you, then make sure that you have your playlist ready when you need a little bit of inspiration. Listen to that and then get right to writing. Tip number 8 is to join in on a community and potentially do word sprints, or maybe even like a live stream, a write-in. I have one coming up this Friday with Mandy Lynn and Brooke Passmore. That is Friday the 25th. It's going to be at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you are kind of stuck in a rut right now, if you are having writer's block, I highly encourage you to join us this coming Friday evening. Well, Friday evening where I am. I'm sorry if it's, the middle of the night for you or 3 a.m. I apologize for that. But there is a write-in coming up. It was really successful last time. We had a lot of fun prompts. A lot of people got a lot of writing done. So maybe join us for that. If you're not able to join us for that, look for like hashtag word sprints on Twitter and see if you can start participating with other writers and joining in with their word sprints, because then it makes you feel like you're less alone. And when you feel like you're writing with a community of people, it can really help. It's especially helpful for me because I am very competitive. So when I'm doing word sprints, I tend to write as fast as I can, and I want to get as many words out as possible, because then at the very end, when you share the words that you wrote, like, oh, I wrote 100 words. Oh, well, I wrote 1,000 words. Like, I like to win that. And I know it's not a race, it's not a competition, but I'm competitive and it works for me. So maybe that'll work for you too. Okay, tip number 9 is going to be to set writing rituals for yourself. And when I think of writing rituals, this totally takes me back to a few years ago when I was still in college and I was writing Way of Spears. It was like I was kind of finishing up with Fire Tongue and I was starting to get ideas for Way of Spears, and I had this writing ritual that just worked so well for me. So I would write every morning and every evening, and I would plug in my little fairy lights, and in the mornings what I would do is get up early, make my cup of coffee, I would write a little bit, and then I was actually a barn manager back then, so I had to go out, feed all of the horses, let them out into the pasture if they were in their stalls, make sure all their water troughs were full. Like, I had to do all the care of all the horses there, and then I would go back inside, make myself breakfast, write again, and then usually I would take a break in the afternoon, and then in the evening, what I would do is I would sit on my couch and I would pull out this little like pop-up like a dinner tray almost, because I didn't have a table in my tiny house because it was like 100 square feet. So I would pull this little like pop-up table and I would sit it in front of my couch, and I would make like a tankard of coffee. You probably saw it in one of my last vlogs. It's a big green one that has a knight on the front, and it's just awesome. So I'd make a huge tankard of coffee, and then I would literally, this is not very healthy, but I would get myself a whole platter of cookies. A whole platter of cookies and my big thing of coffee and my laptop, and I would just down the coffee, dip the cookies in it, and just write until like 10 o'clock at night, and then I would do it all over again the next day. And that's not my writing routine or my writing ritual now, but back then it was, and it feels so nostalgic to look back on that, and I'm so fond of those memories, because that routine that I had for myself every evening or every other evening helped me to finish Way of Spears so quickly. I wrote Way of Spears in about 2.5 months. That is the fastest I have ever finished a first draft. It was absolutely amazing, and I definitely attribute that to having my writing rituals. So I kind of think of writing rituals as, being similar to a bedtime ritual. So if you're somebody that has a bedtime ritual, that might mean turning off all of your technology, getting away from screens, taking a bath at night, reading a book. Like, these rituals trigger your brain into knowing what's coming next. So a bedtime ritual triggers your brain into knowing that sleep is going to follow, and then it can help you fall asleep easier. And in the same vein, having writing rituals for me helps trigger my brain into the creative mode that knows, okay, I'm going to sit down here for a few hours and I'm going to be calm and I'm going to write. And that really helped me. I am somebody that, like, my mind is constantly moving, it's constantly going. It's really, really hard for me to sit down and just do one thing. And having those writing rituals absolutely helped me to write Way of Spears. Like, if not for those rituals, I don't think I would have finished it nearly as fast as I did. Like, that was absolutely the number one thing that I attribute to writing Way of Spears, as well as the fact that I was living alone on a farm in the middle of winter, and I didn't see friends very often, I didn't see family very often, and I was a homebody and just stayed in my tiny house all winter and wrote my book. But anyway, I highly recommend that you start making writing rituals for yourself. That might mean brewing coffee or, steeping some tea so that you have a really warm beverage ready. Maybe you like hot cocoa. I don't know. I don't like it, but maybe you do. That might mean, preparing some popcorn for yourself or some sort of healthy snack or crackers or hummus or whatever it is that you like to snack on while you write. I am definitely a snacker. I absolutely have to have like a glass of water and a plate of something to snack on, blueberries, strawberries, apples, whatever, while I'm writing, because it just keeps me like full and focused and happy. But figure out what works for you. Stick to that writing ritual, and then going back to tip number 1, stick to a writing routine as well. So maybe you say, okay, I'm going to write Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's the routine you set, and then set a ritual for yourself. So every Monday night at 7 p.m., I am going to tidy up my office, tidy up my living room, wherever you write, brew some coffee, grab myself a snack, and then sit down for 2 hours until 9 o'clock. And then I can watch Netflix or read a book or whatever. Like, whatever that ritual needs to be for you, figure it out, figure out what works best for you, and then stick to it, because I'm telling you, it will absolutely change your writing life. It helped me so much, and I still do it to this day. Alright guys, so these next 2 tips might be a little bit like tough love, but I think we could all benefit from that sometimes. So tip number 10 is to reflect on how bad you feel when you're not writing. Like, if you're in a writing slump right now, or if you're feeling like you have writer's block, be kind of thoughtful about that and reflect on why you feel that way. Are you feeling guilty that you're not writing? Are you feeling upset with yourself because you wanted to have your novel done this year and you haven't even started it? So really think about those feelings that you're having and then decide if you want to keep feeling this way. Unfortunately, I am somebody that struggles with a lot of guilt in my life. It is something that I'm working through every single day. I'm trying to, get better at handling it. But guilt is something that honestly inspired me to continue writing, because if I hadn't written for 3 days or 4 days or 5 days, I would feel so guilty about leaving my characters hanging and guilty about disappointing myself that I had to open my laptop. Like, even if I just opened my laptop and wrote 100 words, that would help me. And honestly, I don't think guilt is a very healthy emotion to have, but sometimes it can help you do a healthier thing to make you not feel that guilt anymore. So if you're feeling guilty, if you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling angry or disappointed, whatever these feelings are that you're having toward yourself or your work or your novel right now, I encourage you to sit with those feelings and think through them and figure out where they're really coming from, and then decide if you want to keep feeling that way or not. That's a huge thing for me, is being honest with myself, knowing that I'm feeling a certain way, paying attention to that, respecting those emotions and those feelings I'm having, and then changing it, okay? I hate sitting on the couch or sitting in bed at night knowing that I didn't write, feeling guilty, feeling anxious and upset that I'm not working. I hate that feeling. I can barely sleep when I have that feeling. So if I can write for 10 minutes in the morning and then get rid of that feeling the rest of the day, that is totally worth it. Again, this is it's all coming around to make that writing routine, have your rituals, write 100 words, that's all you need. Take 10 minutes or 15 minutes in the morning or the evening, write your 100 words, and it will honestly make you feel so much better, because I can empathize with you. I know how it feels to be stuck in a writing slump and to be angry and upset and frustrated with yourself, but you can get yourself out of this hole. You can write yourself out of your writer's block or out of your writing slump. You just have to make the decision that you're not going to let yourself feel like that anymore and that you're going to do something to change it. Now, going along with that is tip number 11, and that is to stop making excuses for yourself. And I know that that might sound harsh, but it is honestly one of the things that I have struggled with in the past, and I bet so many of you have struggled with it as well. It's like I make an excuse that I'm feeling too tired, or that I have this one thing to do today so I can't write, or that, oh, it's okay, I outlined today so that means I don't have to write tonight. Like, stop making excuses for yourself. Think back to tip number 10, and if you are feeling really frustrated and really down on yourself, but you continue making excuses to not write, and then that makes you feel this really disgusting way, you want to break that cycle. You don't want to feel like this anymore. You don't want to continue making excuses. Like, the way I look at it, you have one of two choices, okay? One, you continue making excuses, you continue not working on your book, and you're not going to finish your novel. Like, really think about that. How is it going to feel if you continue making these excuses, you continue not working, and your book never gets finished? That is a horrible feeling, isn't it? Like, when you are working so hard, when you have all these ideas, when you want so badly just to pick your book up off the shelf. This isn't my book. This is a beautiful book that was sent to me. Thank you, Gabby. Anyway, like, what if you never get to hold your book in your hand like this? You need to think about that, and to think about how that would feel if all you want to do is be an author, but you can never get to the point of even finishing your first draft. Guys, I know how that feels. I was like that for many, many years. I started and abandoned so many novels that I thought there was no way I was ever going to be an author, and now I'm sitting here today, the author of 5 novels. All right, I have learned how to do it, and you can too. But first, you have to stop making excuses. So that was option number 1, right? Continue making those excuses and never be able to hold your book in your hand. Option number 2 is to stop making those excuses, start setting a writing routine, develop some writing rituals, and write your novel. It is that simple, but also that difficult, because writing a novel is hands down one of the hardest things I have ever done in my life, and one of the hardest things that I will continue to do. It is a challenge every single day. I struggle every single day when I'm working on a manuscript or working on edits or working on an outline. It's freaking hard. I understand we all go through it, but that doesn't mean that you can't succeed, that you can't achieve all of your goals. So I encourage you to think about how this is making you feel, to think about how not writing for weeks on end is affecting your life. How is it affecting your mental state? Are you gloomy every single day? Are you just feeling depressed or anxious or angry that you haven't been working on your novel? Are you feeling guilty that you left your characters hanging and they never know when you're coming back to finish their story? Like, think about that, and think about how freaking amazing it would feel to write the end and to be able to print out 450 pages of your blood, sweat, and tears and be able to show people and show yourself what you've been working so hard on. Like, that is what honestly just gets me to work, is knowing that when I finish that first draft, I'm going to be able to print it out or print myself a proof copy, and I will be able to prove to everybody that I've been working so freaking hard, and now here's what I have to show for it. Like, that for me is hands down probably one of the very best parts of the entire writing process, is finishing the first draft and printing it out, because you can see everything that you worked so hard on. But if you don't break this habit of being stuck in writer's block, 'cause that's really what I see it as. It's not that you are just being like afflicted by this thing that goes around to writers. It is a habit. It is a routine. Being stuck in writer's block is something that you're choosing, and it's something that you are building into your day. So if you can break that habit, you can start new healthy habits that encourage you to write and motivate you to work on your dreams, then you can finish that damn novel. I believe in you. I know you can do it. I hope you enjoyed this video today. Those are my top 11 tips for overcoming writer's block or getting yourself out of a writing slump. If you enjoyed these tips, please let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you have any tips that I did not cover, I highly encourage you to share them with me and with all of the other viewers in the comments down below, because within this community, we have to continue to support and help one another. I honestly have not ever gotten so much done as I have when I've been involved in this community and involved with you guys. So let's continue to help each other, and in doing so, we will be able to help ourselves. So make sure to pop any extra writing slump, get out of it type tips in the comments down below. You can always leave video requests if there is a certain topic that you want me to cover. Thank you guys so much for watching this video today, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!